Welcome to BW Healthcare World's Thursday Thought Leaders with Harbinder Narula. My guest today is Anubha Dixit, who's the founder and CEO of a startup called Tongadive. She is someone with 22 years of data driven product development experience and who's trying to solve a problem of enabling end to end transparency in product consignment for pharmaceutical and healthcare industry. She's someone who's passionate about blockchain and AI, and she is using a software development experience to build this solution for the healthcare industry. So, welcome Anubha to BW Healthcare World. Thank you so much for taking our time to speak with us. My first question to you is, if we talk about supply chain in healthcare and pharma, what are the key components that are of prime importance to build a robust mechanism in supply chain?
Yeah, first of all, Harbinder, thank you very much for inviting me on the show. It's great to be here. And as I've said you earlier, you're doing some very, very great work. Now, coming back to the question, you asked that what are the key components that are of prime importance to build a robust mechanism? Before diving into that question, I would just like to define what a supply chain is. So, as we see it, supply chain is broadly defined as the network between a company, its internal operations, its suppliers, its partners, and resources, serving to procure, produce, and distribute a product to the final customer. So it covers all the steps required to get a product or a service from its original state right through the journey to the customer. What we believe, and I believe strongly, that one of the key requirements to build a robust healthcare supply chain, for that matter, I would say any supply chain, is to have end-to-end visibility. This is easier said than done, especially when the chain spans across different geographies, regulatory frameworks, especially in the case of pharmaceutical industry, and socioeconomic environments. When it comes to healthcare in particular, the key stakeholders, and currently like industry, governments, they are all trying to make the supply chain secure, which is to minimize counterfeiting, which is one of the biggest problem. Transparent to ensure control, and reliable to maximize efficiency. So in short, the key component is to actually build an end-to-end visibility across the supply chain.
Got it. So Anuva, how is it different when you look at healthcare industry? Because supply chain is, agnostic to the industries. But when you work on healthcare and pharma, what is so unique and what are the challenges that you encountered while planning for healthcare?
Yes. You've correctly actually said that supply chains, they are basically same across the industry. But as we know, healthcare industry, it has to do with life and death. So there are a huge variety of stakeholders with different objectives in healthcare. Like first and foremost, it's the governments. I would say they are one of the biggest stakeholders here, who are looking to introduce supply chain regulations, and it's mainly for public good, which is actually which I said it's a very, very good thing. On the other hand, manufacturers, they are keen to have control over their products, limit reputational risk. Unlike any other industry, the reputational risk is very, very actually the manufacturer really need to manage that. They, on the other hand, they really need to increase efficiencies and while keeping the cost down. Now, the other stakeholders like distributors, wholesalers, retailers, hospitals, all have their specific objectives to be met. Now, what happens here? This makes a standard approach towards end-to-end visibility tricky because there are disparate systems into the supply chain. And when different systems they want to interact, there should be some standard which they can actually interact with each other, which I would say in our terms, like we use language to communicate. And that's what standard does in the software part of the world. So technology, I would say solutions are available, the ecosystem are available, but getting everyone on the same platform, more important, so everyone on the same standard is a key challenge to a true end-to-end transparency.
Right. So, Anubha, when you were talking about, government's engagement and compliances that are there, regulations that exist, how do you counter the challenge of fake medicines? Because one of the leakage or the impact of a leakage in the supply chain is the fake medicines entering the system. That is one. And do you think that there is a need to create standards to reduce the cases relating to counterfeiting, the challenge of cost, and the monopolies that are created by pharmacies or pharmaceutical companies at times? So, what would be the challenges that you have encountered, especially to counterfeiting, and how is it different from what we see across the world?
Mhm, mhm. Okay. So starting with the standards, and that was your second question. Standards like GS1 serialization, which is a supply chain standard, they do exist, and it is very, very widely known in the healthcare industry and also say in the supply chain industry as well. The need is to implement such standards at scale, along with enabling technologies like blockchain and AI, even IoT, as well as on cloud. Now, coming to the challenge actually, which we have, I think I would rather cover the scale of the challenge or the problem which is there, which we need to address. So, counterfeit or fake medicine, they are not only rampant, they are a growing industry. The socio-economic consequences of fake medicines are significant. According to WHO estimates, around 1 million people die every year due to fake medicine. And the morbidity rate, which is people suffering as a result of fake medicine, is 10 times the mortality rate. So, counterfeit medicine, I would say in itself, is a $200 billion industry today. And now, coming to another dimension altogether, which is an e commerce world, it is estimated nearly 50% of all medicines sold online are fake. So, this is the scale of problem, or this is the scale of problem which we are talking about, which we have to actually tackle. Now, coming to how the scenario is same or different globally, the preparedness to counter fake medicine is scattered across the globe, like US FDA, EU FMD, and the other regulatory agencies in the developed world. They have already taken steps to tighten supply chain and mandate visibility of products as they move through supply chain across the border, or even actually, I would say, internally domestic as well. But large parts of developing world are still lagging behind in enforcing such controls. So unfortunately, these are the areas where counterfeiting is most rampant. Now, coming, how should we tackle these challenges? Coming back to the problem which we are facing and how to tackle counterfeiting, it is again as is to build a very robust and network supply chain. What does it needs is all the stakeholders, which is manufacturer, distributors, wholesalers, pharmacists, also raw material, which is called API suppliers to work in tandems. So the technology, as I told you, that's available today, blockchain, IoT, cloud, AI, GPS. And then it will be combined with standards like GS1. They could tighten control and significantly reduce counterfeiting. So that's and I think we at Tongadive are really working to simplify supply chains, providing a digital identity to the product consignment.
So, in fact, that is my next question, because we understand, that technology plays a significant role in supply chain today. And there are various elements of technology that come together to create a robust solution. Can you share with us, how the technology is playing a role?
Absolutely. So I'll come back to that. So first, I'll cover that how we at Tongadive, we are working to simplify supply chains, providing digital identity to product consignment and securing medicine journey from raw material to delivery to end customer. As I said, that supply chain is going through a major transformational triggered by these new technologies. And as I said earlier as well, they play a vital role, especially IoT, cloud, AI, blockchain, to provide this end-to-end visibility to create a digital supply chain twins. So once you give a product a unique identity, then what it helps us, it creates a kind of a digital thread across the supply chain to create a digital supply chain twin. So whatever the physical journey the product is taking, the same can be mapped onto a digital actually network. So the ultimate aim is to create secure, transparent, and sustainable supply chain. Now, now the question is how technology can help us to make it robust. For example, not only blockchain or digital ledger technology, they can help make the product identity immutable. So even the creator cannot change it. So which is one of to make it robust and reliable. At the same time, if we do IoT, it could provide real-time tracking. Again, on the AI data models, they could provide predictive analytics on where demand is likely to happen. Cloud can help bring all the stakeholders, everyone on the network on a common platform, wherever they are in the globe. So the ultimate aim is to create a secure, transparent, and sustainable supply chain. So this will finally promote waste reduction, circularity, just-in-time production, and new revenue opportunities.
Got it. Anubha, are there more players like Tongadive, or is Tongadive the first player to enter into this space specifically for pharma and healthcare?
The competitive landscape is made up of a number of global players, I would say. One of them is SAP. But these products are more suitable for very large enterprises or large enterprises, I would say. There we see a few Indian players who have developed basic software on top of their manufacturing lines or packaging lines, which are called vision system as well. What we are trying to do is we are trying to cover the huge gap which happens between these players, basic software players, and the established players who's really are very for the large enterprises, and to cover that huge gap that exists between the two. In terms of quality and maturity, we are arguably at par or better, I would say, than the global players. At the same time, we have built business models which enable us to target mid-sized or micro or SME players who do not have the scale or the budget or capex to buy a heavy solution, but don't want to compromise on quality.
And how big is the addressable market that you are reaching out to?
So in pharmaceutical alone, and if we take India, there are about 3,000 to 4,000 manufacturers in India today. They are expected to grow by around 10,000 in 5 years. Each one of these players, they are growing anywhere between 10 to 20% as they expand their global footprint, cater to new products, or increasing their product portfolio. Now, what happens is each product line and location that these players have will need to adhere to supply chain regulations in India, as well as the target country they want to address. So this really makes for a huge market on pharma alone, because every country has their own kind of requirements onto the supply chain regulations. Now, this is just pharmaceutical alone I'm talking about. When we go to adjacencies here, like medical devices and agrochemicals, we really find ourselves in a massive market that is expanding rapidly.
So any estimate of the market size in terms of numbers? In terms of
I don't have it on top of my head, Harbinder. None. I think it was it was there in
Never mind. And when we're looking at the supply chain as a domain, and what are the latest tech trends that we see across the globe that make a lot of sense to be used in India and specifically for the healthcare industry?
Before going to the trends or the latest tech trends, I think it's very important to cover what are the forces that are driving this and why pharma. So I think one of the most important force which is driving this technology trend is the government regulations. So the governments across the globe, they are tightening it up. They're targeting transparency to minimize counterfeit. Now, the second one is the consumer. There is a lot of awareness in the consumer. They are looking for security, sustainability, and circularity as well. Industry players, mainly for manufacturers, they are looking for just-in-time inventory management and cost control through efficiency. The two trends actually which we see, the leading trends in supply chain, are blockchain and AI at the moment. We believe that IoT will start gaining further momentum as the cost of IoT chips goes down, when it will be commoditized. So when the cost of chip goes down, there is massive use cases actually we can go through that.
Right. Anubha, who would be your typical customer? So are you addressing everybody and anybody in the healthcare system, or is it just the pharma that you're focusing on right now? And the reason I'm asking you is because you mentioned that, med tech or medical equipment space is heating up. Also, when we are looking at pharma companies, there are these large majors, and then there are also these smaller organizations. Is your solution suitable for them? The hospitals, I mean, they have a huge supply chain of, like in India, we are seeing a lot of hospital chains who have their presence across the country. And then you have these very unique requirements which hospital needs to manage because of the compliance issues and the impact on human life. For example, organ transplants.
Mhm.
And so, is your solution robust enough to manage any of these, uh, supply chain issues, conditions, challenges?
And that is a very good question, Harbinder. So as of now, and first I will actually try to cover the product we have, the solution we have. So when we architected the product, we very well kept in mind that the same product can go to any industry and to any stakeholders in the pharma world. So whether it's hospitals or whether it's manufacturers or distributors and wholesalers. So we use the standard GS1 to come up with the solution there. Currently, we are actually targeting manufacturers because where there the current need is, where the regulations are enforcing them to have that, start with a kind of a give a unique product identity. And that's where the market is. Having said that, the software is such we can very easily pivot to actually any other stakeholder in the supply chain, mainly when it is coming to kind of a B2B scenario, and it can be easily extended to right till the patient to a B2C part as well. So we are now till end of the pharmacy, but after that, when it comes to B2C, there is a big, we can easily actually get through to the consumer as well. Yeah.
Got it. And Anubha, what are the key milestones that Tongadive has achieved until date? And what are your expansion plans in India as well as if you're looking at overseas market?
Mhm, mhm. So when I first launched Tongadive in 2019, within 6 months, we were selected as one of the um, most innovative ideas in pharma industry in Europe by one of the largest pharma packaging manufacturers. Then after that, we went on to get UK government funding to continue to develop our product, including an AI engine for demand forecasting. This was a very big milestone for us as securing UK Innovate government funding. Is very tough. They have a very rigorous criteria, and the field is very competitive. When COVID struck, we actually were part of the Kickstart scheme of the government of UK, aimed at creating high skill jobs for the for the workforce. I would say the first major recognition, and because it has come from our customer, we received in India was when a customer executive, after seeing our demo, remarked that our product was the Mercedes-Benz of pharma track and trace. I think I was that was I believe that first major recognition from an end user which we have got it. We commercially launched our product six months back, and since we have launched it, our product API, which is the raw material for medicine space in India, we have become one of the most recognized brands for supply chain compliance solution for APIs, with successful deployments for some of the global leaders in this space. Now, coming To your next question, what are the expansion plans? So, being headquartered in the UK and with majority of our development presence in India give us a unique advantage. Our product Evident has been built to fit global standards, as I've told you, the global leaders, and cater to customer in developed as well as developing countries. Today, we are ready to meet compliance requirement for more than 40 countries globally, including US and Europe. At the same time, I very strongly believe that India is the pharmacy capital of the world, and it is a very, very important and growing market. So, with my established networks in India, we decided to start our customer journey in India. We would like to become a major player in this space in India in the next 2 to 3 years. We will do this on the back of the fact that we are the only Indian companies that has the product that matches in its maturity and feature set with global leaders in the space. And at the same time, we are in active discussions with channel partners in Western Europe and US to open up those markets for us.
Got it. So, Anubhav, for a company like yours, which is headquartered in the UK, is having development in India, but is also creating a lot of value in terms of transparency that the pharma supply chain requires at this time. Are there any expectations from the government of India that you may have to help you in your business in India? Especially when
Um,
you're addressing the MSME segment, etc.
mhm. Not as I'm not aware of any government relaxation in the MSME area. However, our product and business model has been specifically designed for the micro, small, and medium enterprises market in India and abroad. We are very, very focused or thorough or relentless in pursuit of quality and UI. We don't give up that on the quality and UI. Having and on addition to that, we have developed a unique pay-as-you-go model that is simple for micro and small players to consume. What does it do is this decreases their upfront investment in deploying technology. And we have started deploying our product in some mid to large enterprises as well. So we are actively developing, and in parallel to all this, we are actively developing a simple, nimble solution for SMEs through a platform approach, which is like a multi-tenant approach. So over a period of time, our aim is to have a healthy mix of large enterprises and small and medium enterprises in our portfolio. So micro or small through those platform approach and large enterprises through dedicated deployment for them.
So,
I hope this is what you asked, Harbinder, or
yes.
yeah.
So, but Anubhav, this is a very interesting segment that you're targeting. What are
Yeah.
what are your plans in terms of how would you go about your business expansion and support these clients that you take on board?
Yes, and I think you're spot on. Especially, uh, first step is to just get the customer on board. Supporting them is a marathon, and any product, I would say, I would say that any product or company should be judged based on their customer experience, how the customer support works, and that I strongly believe. So, as I said, we launched Evident commercially 6 months back. We have been able, and we are very lucky to acquire some of the leading global and Indian players. As far as APIs are concerned, we are very proud to say we today have the most successful deployments in API. And sorry, API means the bulk product or the raw material pharmaceuticals, yeah, based regulatory requirements. So we also have a very large active pipeline in formulations. And when I say formulations, formulations are the finished goods, the medicines which we take, that is called formulations. So we have a very large active pipeline in formulations. We have in agrochemicals, in medical devices. And we are also in the process of tying up with a leading fashion school, and this is outside pharma, in the UK to develop a POC for sustainable fashion market. Now, coming to your question and the key question to support our existing client base, we are rapidly expanding our operations presence in India. We are actively hiring, building a team in India. Today, 95% of our team is India based. And I expect us to operate at an optimum of 85 to 85, 80 to 85 percentage team in India. We are expanding across product development, testing, QA, business development, and customer service functions. As a team or as an organization, we firmly believe in the government's vision of Make in India and will continue to have India as our home.
And how big is your team? How big is the team size at
Mhm.
Tongadive?
Yeah, so the when, because as I said, it is continually expanding. So the last time when I took the number, it was 32. But
Okay,
there are a couple of people joining today, tomorrow. So we are really expanding very fast.
got it, got it. Now, Anubha, you've been a woman entrepreneur now, but you had a corporate career in the past. How is
Yes.
it different for a woman who comes from a corporate background, and where the challenges that you face are very different than the challenges you face as an entrepreneur? Would you want to share with us any challenges you have faced as a lady entrepreneur?
Completely, and I completely agree with you. They are two very different, I would say, position to be in. I don't, it's a, working in a corporate world is very different, and getting up and starting your own is very different, very different. Harbinder, I treat this journey as a marathon. I don't believe in 100-meter dash or sprint, to be very honest. Nothing instant. That is my mantra of life is. And I will not deny the going has not been easy, but at the same time, it has been highly rewarding here. And again, having said that, based on my experience and the way actually I faced, I would not say I faced challenges when I was in the corporate world, when I see the women in the corporate world. What I am proud to say is that we've built a strong, committed majority women team, which is a rarity in this industry, in pharma industry. So we are now breaking new grounds and disrupting this industry. We also knew that this is a very high entry barrier industry. This is one of the highest entry barrier industry. Someone who comes from outside. See, I have a product development experience, not an healthcare experience, and again on women as well. So what I did is, prior to launching my own firm, I spent 5 years getting networking, developing relationships, engaging with pharma supply chain experts to be in a position to start Tongadive in 2019. So there was a lot of background work went actually, even prior to starting Tongadive. And I would say it still remains a very highly male dominated industry, especially when I say supply chain, pharmaceutical supply chain. You will hardly find professional women who have made their way to the top. I think they're not taken seriously, but at the end, I think the whole journey has been very rewarding.
But
And I'm very grateful for that. So,
tell me one thing. What I'm very interested to know is that in a supply chain industry which is male dominated, you come in as a professional with a corporate background. What is the value you as a woman entrepreneur, woman leader can bring to the system that can help Tongadive be a company which is run differently?
yeah. So there is one thing, we live in a non-linear world. There is nothing linear. That's what, again, I firmly believe. So it's a kind of a non-linear industry. I would say the main mantra about my leadership is lead by example, or maybe because I've come the hard way. And I think it's by choice. I would not say because I came into healthcare without any background. So I do follow lead by example. So in my own organization, I can do any job, whether it's development, whether it's sales, whether it's operations. And that is where my mantra is. Yes, um, that's where I come from. So yeah,
And
and getting the corporate values to my uh, this thing small this thing where I started up, getting
awesome,
the values which I've learned for those past 20 years.
awesome. And what are your hobbies? What does Anuba do when she's not working?
I'll be very honest, Harbinder. Programming is my hobby. I do yoga and I do like dancing.
Oh,
So,
lovely.
yoga, I can walk for hours.
Uh-huh.
Yoga and dance is my hobby. And but I think most of it, I just love actually architecting products, conceptualizing a kind of concept and making it to a product. I think that's where my strength is, getting the customer problem, conceptualizing and putting it into um, a program or a product. And I don't take it as a work. It's always been the case, and that's what I've told you. I'm a hardcore technologist by heart. Yeah, so yoga, walking, and these are the three things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you
And
you are blessed that you are someone who enjoys conceptualizing, ideating products, and you are trained to do coding and develop them into a program. And
absolutely,
when you get tired, you trained yourself in yoga. So brilliant
yoga,
combination.
and I have a stress buster, my dog Archie.
All
So
lovely.
yeah, yeah,
Lovely.
I love spending time with him as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Anubha, it has been such a pleasure speaking to you and about what you are doing, the contribution that you're making to the pharma and healthcare industry, through supply chain development that you guys you're doing at Tongadive. Lovely understanding your background, where you're coming from, and what is it that you're bringing of value to the industry. And it's been a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much for your time and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Harbinder. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.